everybody, and thank you so much for being here with us. This is Conversations with Women Like Me. I'm Julie Fairhurst, and I'm the founder of our book program, Women Like Me, and I'm also the transformational story coach. So I help ladies get their stories out of their heads and out of their hearts and get them into books. And today we're talking with Lynn Coleman, who did write in volume 2, actually, of Women Like Me. And I love this cover. So so one of the things about the books is the ladies actually get to vote and choose the cover of each of the books. I don't know if I've ever mentioned that before, but this is the cover that they chose. And I just love this cover of the book. It's Stories of Resilience and Courage, okay? It's on volume 2. So I just want to touch really briefly on the amazing Lynn Coleman. She's got some fantastic stuff going on, and then we're going to dive into her story. So Lynn is an expert former hider. She was born in the UK and she lives in the Netherlands. She has 2 teenagers, 2 kittens, and too few hours in the day. After her degree in languages, Lynn spent much of her life traveling and accumulating more languages as she goes. She speaks 3 languages fluently and another 2 well, and she can order tea and a sandwich and several others. I can order chicken and water in Mexico. That's about it for me. Lynn helps business coaches, Lynn's business helps coaches, trainers, healers, create and grow their online business, and she supports them with tech development, developing their offers, finding the words to express what they do. And she does that using a process she calls listening with your heart. Lynn's discovered that having the words to say what you want is one thing, and then daring to use them is another. That's the truth. That's why she decided to share her own very personal story here. She wants to encourage other women to stop hiding and to believe, and she believes that the world needs our warmth, our expertise, and our talents. And it needs us to find the words and to speak up. So thank you so much, Lynn, for being here. I really appreciate it.
You're so welcome. Thank you for asking me.
Yeah. So let's get started, Lynn, with maybe you can tell us why you decided that you wanted to write your story in the book.
Well, it was something that needed to happen. And I'd been sitting on it for years, thinking, yeah, I'll have to do this sometime. This needs to be told, this story. Yeah. And I thought, it became such an important part of why I do what I do. Mm-hmm. And so I couldn't not tell it. And I think partly it was also, what you just said about not hiding. Sometimes you just have to get out there and then do it. So when this opportunity came along, I thought, right, come on, Lynn, you can do it.
Yeah. and you did.
Jumped at the chance. Yeah. Yeah.
So Lynn, do you want to just tell us a little bit about why your story is about hiding? Because you know what I didn't do? I didn't tell people your title. Do you remember your title off the top of your head? I got to look for it. Let me find it here. It is
something about expert former hider.
Yes, tales from an expert former hider, and then how you found your voice.
Yeah.
So do you want to just tell us a little bit about what you mean? Because you're talking about hiding and finding your voice. So maybe just, touch a bit on your story for us.
Yeah, sure. So what basically happened is, and now we're talking about 2006, so it's a long time ago. I ended up in a women's shelter in a complete state of cognitive mess, basically. I remember one day being asked to count slices of cheese, and I couldn't count. I couldn't do it, and my brain just really wasn't working. I was in a right old state. So I fled the marital home with my 2 kids, and we ended up in a women's shelter. And then I set out to hide. because, well, obviously I didn't want to be found, but also my ex had been taking care of the kids at home, and I knew that I needed to be able to keep them with me. I knew that I needed to keep them with me for 12 months, and then the courts wouldn't turn things around. So I set out to hide. And that included trying to find out if my IP address was traceable and all kinds of things like that. It's really difficult. I don't actually know how people do it unless they've got access to, sort of like, access to sort of like CIA type abilities. I don't know how anybody manages to do it, because every system you're on wants to share where you are. There is, yeah, it was really, really hard, but I managed it. I did actually manage it. So, yeah.
And so when did you, so you were hiding, and I think if I remember from your story, as you were hiding, you found that you lost your voice, your ability to speak up for yourself.
Yeah, I was in this in this shelter, and I realized that, I mean, functionally I was homeless. I was still paying for a mortgage, but I didn't actually have a place to live at that moment, and I knew I was dependent on the social workers to help me get a new place. So, and they could be really strict about all kinds of things. And so I thought, all right, okay, I better just not get into any trouble here and just do exactly what it is that I need to do to get us out of here as quickly as possible and rehoused. So I became a bit like a little mouse, just to get me out of there. Yeah, it was difficult. And I think I had a sense of that I was being punished in some way, that I just had to accept my punishment. And that's why it didn't help that everybody was praying before lunch and, in front of ahead of the meals and everything. It was quite an old-fashioned environment. So really felt a bit like, oh my God, I've been sent to a sort of like, sort of reform school or something.
Yes. So how long did it take you to find your voice, and how did you find your voice?
It took quite a long time, because when you've got into the habit of hiding and into the habit of not speaking out and not giving your opinion, it takes a lot of conscious effort to come back from that. And then for the first couple of years, I was really focused on getting us settled and getting us into a new home and all of that stuff. And eventually I had to go out and start thinking about some money coming in. For the first while I was okay, and then I had to start getting some money in. And that's when it got tricky, because I realized I don't think I want a boss ever again, because I don't want anybody telling me what to do ever again. And okay, that means I've got to go public. I've got to go public about where I am and my telephone number. And so step by step, I'd start, doing things like putting a telephone number on my website, which is quite handy.
Yes.
If you want any business. So it was that helped me get out of it to a large extent. But it took me about 5 years.
Wow.
It took me a long, long time. And in the end, what I did was I realized that I got stuck in a pattern, and I'd become really, really good at making myself afraid. Whatever had happened. I mean, it wasn't good. But after 5 years, I realized, hey, I'm creating this fear a lot for myself, and I need to get rid of it. Otherwise, it's going to rule my entire life forever. So I went to an event in Amsterdam with Byron Katie, with the work. Yeah. And I went there with an aim, something I wanted to do. And I came out and it was gone. All the fear was gone.
Wow.
Yeah, it was. Wow. I was floating around. I felt like I'd lost, I don't know, 30 pounds overnight. It was incredible.
Wow. That's wonderful.
It
Wow.
was, it really
Yes,
was.
I've seen her, not in person. I'd love to see her in person, but I have watched some of her work. She's quite amazing.
Yeah, she really is. She really, really is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then you started realizing that a lot of us women were not speaking,
Yeah.
I don't know, our truth, or we were holding ourselves back. Why do you think we do that?
I think part of it is probably nature. I mean, we like nurturing. I mean, everybody knows that women past a certain age, when the hormone levels go down, we become less nurturing. So it's partly we've got this urge to nurture, which is a beautiful thing. But part of nurturing is also, is also sort of like putting the needs of other people ahead of yours. So it's thinking about other people first and you last. So, and society obviously encourages us to do that as well.
Yes.
um
Yes.
and I realized only a couple of years ago that, for example, I'd always thought being flexible was a really, really good thing. And suddenly I thought, hang on, who's who does it really benefit when I'm incredibly flexible? Think, oh, it's everybody else, isn't it? I mean, flexibility of spirit is one thing, but constantly changing what you do to suit other people is not good for you.
No.
So I think it's a lot of there's a lot of we've picked up from society and from history as well. We've not been taught to go out there and do our thing and earn our money and argue if it makes sense, and all of those great skills that guys tend to learn more easily.
Well, we tend to put ourselves, I think, in a nurturing, for sure. I 100% agree with you, but almost in more of a supportive role. We're supporting our children, and we're supporting our husbands, and we're supporting, we just seem to be supporting everybody. And then I agree, we get left behind, and all of a sudden we wake up one day and go, huh,
hang on.
what about me?
Yeah, exactly. I'm actually discovering now, there's quite a lot of women that are in the that seem to be in the sort of like the finger phase, where they've just got to the point where they're sort of like sticking a finger up and thinking, no, this is enough. I'm actually seeing quite a lot of women saying that, literally sticking a finger up and saying, I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah. I believe that we should be number one. And I don't say that meaning selfishly and not caring for others and not doing the things that need to be done, because of course that's what if we have children, we have responsibilities. If we get married, we have responsibilities. However, if we are not healthy, and if we are not taking care of ourselves, then our daughters and maybe even our sons are going to grow up to think, oh, I'm not worthy to, just I don't know. I just think it's so important that women do for themselves. And so often I think people think, oh, well, that's selfish, but it's not, because if you're strong, if you're healthy, if you're mentally and emotionally well, you're going to get past that on to your family, to your children, and you're also going to be a better caregiver, a better person. I don't know. That's my...
No, I couldn't agree with you more, because I think if you take good care of yourself, you can react to things in a much calmer way. I mean, if you're all het up because you're not getting enough sleep and you feel like you have to get up at 5 a.m. to do the ironing and things like that, and I know that women do those things, somebody comes to you, one of your kids or your partner comes to you with a problem, what kind of reaction are they likely to get? It's not going to be well, had you thought about it this way? It's more likely to be, you know, I'm doing the ironing, leave me alone. You know, it's not going to be you're not going to be able to find the emotional space in yourself to either really listen or maybe make a little joke that makes somebody see something in a different way. There's not much lightness in life living that
No,
way. So.
no, for sure. So what do you do in your business then, Lynn, to help women find their voice? Because I know that you do copywriting, and
Yeah.
I know that we chatted about that you can help people with their copywriting, but then it's another thing to get them to use it and put it out into the world. So what do you do in your business to help?
Yeah, so I do copywriting and I do copy coaching. And copy coaching is normally helping someone to write better copy, but I've discovered it's also helping someone to actually use the copy. So it's because there's no point hiring a copywriter and then not doing anything with what you've written. It doesn't make sense. And I think that's one of the things that as women we really need to learn how to do. It's okay to say what you're good at. It's okay to be proud of what you do. And that's really what I work on and what I help women with, which is a beautiful thing.
Yes,
It really is.
absolutely. Yes, because we all have talents, we all have good things, and it's very difficult for a lot of us to put ourselves out there. I know even when I was younger, I had a career. Well, I still have a career in sales, but 32 years later. But in the beginning of my sales career, it was so hard for me. I had a picture of me on a bus bench. I could not drive down that street and look at that bus bench. I avoided it at all costs. It was just, yeah.
That says everything, doesn't it?
It sure does.
That's exactly it. Whereas somebody else might have gone to that bus bench, taken a photo of themselves with the bus bench. And we both have cats in this going on. I've got one sleeping behind me, so he could jump up at any moment.
Well, normally I put them out, and I looked and I couldn't see him, and then we started, and I'm like, "You little devil, there you are."
That's what they do. Yeah, and as soon as I came onto the call, hop, there he went behind me. Yeah. Yeah. So I think part of what's going on as well is because traditionally we've been expected to work and not get paid for it. So it's nurturing work, and it's unpaid work, and you do it for the family, you do it for your kids, you do it for everybody else. But to then stand up and say, I want this amount of money for what I do because I'm good at it, that's quite a step for a lot of women.
I agree. Yes. And we're also used to, as you say, doing things for free or doing things for everyone and not valuing what we have. I 100% agree. Yeah. So what kind of women will gravitate to you then? Or is it mainly business women that you're working with, or do you find like what kind of females is it that are looking for you?
It's all business owners, and they're very nice people. So that's the first thing. They're really lovely people. And they have a very special skill, something really unique about them. And they're not always very good at sharing it. So they're quite often in a sort of a people business. So, they what they want to do is help people. And that's the thing they really want to do is help people. And then the selling stuff, do I really have to do it? So,
right.
Yeah.
I remember. I remember. Yeah. I remember going up to people's doors and in my head going, please don't answer. Please don't answer. Please don't answer.
That. Yeah, exactly. We hide in so many, the creativity that we have in hiding is incredible. I mean, it's that hoping somebody won't open the door, or, thinking the doorbell won't work, or or just not even going to the door. But it's also being really, really busy with other things, and my
Right.
kids need me right now. And
Mm.
whereas your kids can, depending on the age of their age, of course, but they could probably, some of them could probably cope very well by themselves. But
Yes. Yeah.
it's that feeling of, is it okay for me to be doing this? And sometimes other stuff becomes a convenient excuse, I think.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, we're always, if you really wanted to, there's always something else you could do. There's
Yeah.
always something else that you could do, and a lot of times you might think you're being productive, but in reality, maybe you're avoiding.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I know recently I took an exam, and I've been taking a course, and so recently I had to take an exam, and I looked at this exam and went, oh my goodness, this is like, I thought it was going to be easy, and I avoided for 2 days. I avoided. Then I said to myself, okay, Julie, you're smart. Now kick yourself in the rear and get this done. So, and I did. And within 10 minutes of letting myself, like, removing the fear that I couldn't do it, I realized, oh, it's hard, but I know what I'm doing. I've been taking the course. It's not that difficult, really. And but for 2 days, I was doing this, and then I was working on my business, but I wasn't doing what was the most important thing to do.
Yep.
Then. So I totally get that whole avoidance thing. And it's easy for us to do because you're busy, and so it seems like you are, but you're not. Yeah, I agree. You're not really working on the hardest things. I listen to a lot of in the mornings. I love to get up, have my coffee, and I listen to motivational stuff. That's my thing in the mornings. And this morning, I actually listened to someone who's quite made millions of dollars online, and he was being interviewed, and they were asking him, if you were starting today, what's the number one thing that you would do? And he said, the number one thing I would do is videos, because people need to get to know you quickly. They're going to be able to do that with that. And when he was talking, I thought to myself, wow, I bet that's a tough one for a lot of people.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's even harder than writing. And writing is hard enough for a lot of people. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's, and so it made me start to think about, again, how we as women hold ourselves back. Well, I need to lose 10 pounds before I can make a video, or I need to do this, or I need to do that, or I need to have the perfect space, or I need to, and next thing you know, 6 months has gone by and you haven't made a darn video.
And you've gained 5 pounds probably. I mean, it's just
yes. And I think when I was listening to him this morning, and my brain was kind of going with, because I have the same, I'm over it pretty good, but I still have the same moments with videos, and I thought to myself, it's judgment.
Yeah.
It's fear. It's that darn fear of judgment that keeps popping up.
Absolutely. And I think part of what that's about is that as women, we're such great communicators, and we're so good at being part of a group and reacting to others in a group. We're really skilled at that. But to speak up by yourself is a different skill. So you're stepping out of the safety of the group, and that you're used to.
Right.
I think guys are a lot more used to just, not all guys, obviously, but, often more used to, okay, I need to do this for me, and then going off and doing it.
Well, I think the thing that men have going for them that women don't, I think, this is just my humble opinion, is that men, obviously men want to look good and want to be in good shape and all those kinds of things. Obviously they do, but they don't care. Like they don't care like we care. And I think that's some of the biggest things that hold us back is, there's a fellow in my industry in sales, and he is not the most attractive young fellow. And he is also not the smartest young fellow. But, other good looking smart fellows have left the industry and he's still there. And it's because he just lets stuff slide off his back. Oh, okay, well, off I go to the next. Oh, okay, off I go to the next. And he does fabulous.
Good for him.
Absolutely. But I think he lacks, which is a good thing, I'm not saying it's bad, I think he lacks the fear of judgment.
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe he learned that early, not being the sort of, maybe not being the sort of like the most attractive, one out of the box. But I mean, that's also part of the judgment that we grow up with, isn't it? Attractiveness is a really big thing. And I think as we get older, we can get even more into that fear. When things aren't quite where they used to be when you were younger, and all of that kind of stuff.
But well, I think that's
we've got to get beyond that.
We do have to get beyond that, absolutely. So is there anything wisdom wise, Lynn, that you would like to share with our listeners?
Sorry, so what did you say? Is there anything?
I said, is there anything that you have, wisdom, that you would like to share with us before we finish up here?
I think the main thing is something I heard a long time ago is that you're stronger than you think. A lot of people feel stressed and worried and, and I don't have time for this and I can't do this and there's so much going on. But it's the fact that you're coping with all of that stuff says just how strong you are. And so use that strength and just trust that it'll be there for your next steps. Right. Give it a go.
Yeah. It's I've always had this thought in my head that when I'm old and I'm sitting on my porch in my rocking chair, I don't want to say, I wish I'd tried. I should have done that. Why didn't I do that?
Exactly.
And it's just it's our own fear that stops us.
Yeah, way more than anybody else's fear. I mean, just like I got to that situation where 5 years in after this, I mean, this awful thing happened, but 5 years later, it was me keeping myself afraid.
Yes.
It doesn't negate the trauma in any way or anything you've been through. No. That's not what I'm saying, isn't it? It's not like you need to always be happy about, if horrible things have happened to you. But at a certain point, it becomes a choice. Do you step out of that or do you stay in it?
Yes. I agree with you so much. Well, Lynn, I have enjoyed this conversation and it has also been very enlightening. And I've really appreciated you coming to do it. So for any of our listeners that are interested in reaching Lynn, in the descriptions below, I am going to have all of Lynn's contact information. So if any of you want to learn from her wisdom or check Lynn out to see if she can help you with your business or life in general, then I will, all of her information will be there for you to reach out to her. So once again, Lynn, I just really appreciated it. This was a really important conversation that we've had, and I feel that whoever listens will be able to gain a little tidbit here and there, if not a lot of new wisdom for themselves.
Great. Hey, can I just say one thing, that if somebody's watching this and they're thinking, hey, maybe I should write a chapter in a book, and I don't know, go for it, because it was such a beautiful process. It's not just writing your chapter, or writing your story. It's also partly laying it to rest in a really, really beautiful way. And and you get a lot of support, meet some lovely new people, and Julie really knows what she's doing. So just wanted to add that.
Oh, thank you, Lynn. That was very kind of you. Thank you so much. So this is the book that you can find Lynn's story in. It's volume 2, Stories of Resilience and Courage. You can see this fabulous young lady here with her swords ready to stand up and be courageous. So if you'd like to find it, it is on Amazon, or you can reach out to me. I've got it on my website as well. So thanks again, Lynn. I hope that we get to chat again soon. And I really appreciate you doing this.
You're very welcome. Thanks for inviting me.
You're welcome.